Well, thank you so much. You know, we have this Gensler group with us now, and I know they'd be cheering and ringing their cowbells, but they're on the phone. It's 784-KIDS, 784-5437. So this is the third year that the Gensler group has been with us. Coordinator, thank you so much for making this happen. She's on the phone. She's networking. Thank you for making this group happen over here. Absolutely. They're in the new Bell Square building downtown. That's where but they wanted to be here for you guys. Oh. That's special. Welcome, Olivia and Andrea and Ryan and McKenna. We have the Vogler family here from Onalaska. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Olivia, guess what? Every time we hear all the cheering and the cowbells, that means that another donation has been called in. And people know that you guys, that should make you smile. They know that you're sitting here on the couch. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel happy because they're sending donations to people who need them.
It makes us feel happy too. And I don't think we could have said it any better. Mom and Dad, you have to be so proud.
We're very proud. She's a very caring little girl.
Olivia's 10 years old.
I know. It's hard to believe.
Isn't that something, Dad? How you hanging in there?
Hanging in there.
Good. Good job.
She's growing up fast.
Absolutely. And Olivia goes to what school?
Northern Hills Elementary.
Thank you for telling us that. And McKenna, where do you go to school, sweetheart?
I go to the same school as my sister, and I have Miss Muafari as my teacher.
Do you think we should ask some of your teachers to call in a pledge today? Should we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give them the phone number, 784-KIDS, 784-5437. So do you think you can turn back the clock 10 years? Can we start with the Olivia story?
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
That's okay with me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Introduce us to Olivia 10 years ago.
So 10 years ago, Olivia surprised us by being born at 25 weeks, 6 days. We'd had a few complications throughout the pregnancy, but nothing that really prepared us for how early she actually was going to come. So when I went into labor and figured out that it was actually for real this time, I still wasn't quite sure what to do. So my husband and I left at 3 o'clock in the morning with a Walmart bag, a book, and that was it.
Okay, all right.
Because I thought I was going to come back home.
Right,
you know,
and why would you take anything more than that? Okay, all right.
So, but we found out that night that if we didn't have Olivia within the next few hours, I was going to be at the hospital until we did have her. So, very high risk. We were able to stop my labor for a few hours, but within 12 hours, I started back in laboring again, and they said, that's it, this is going to happen this time.
Okay.
So she was born, she weighed 1 pound, 13 ounces, and she was whisked off to the NICU with that wonderful team. I didn't even know if she was a boy or a girl.
So when you say 1 pound, 14 ounces, so that's less than 2 packages of butter if you're in the dairy department at the grocery store.
Right.
Okay, and that's how she came into the world.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, Ryan, what is going through your head? You have this brand new preemie that's teeny tiny. What are you feeling? Talk right into your mic. There you go.
And I don't know if I knew what I was feeling. We weren't expecting it to happen. We honestly, when we went in, we were thinking, well, we're going to go in and we'll come back home tonight. I remember being on the phone with my dad and with her parents, and my dad was going to a Brewer game, and I was like, okay, Dad, yeah, you can go. We're going to be fine. And then calling back, like, oh, maybe you should come up. And then calling him, oh, no, we're going to be fine. And just kind of back and forth. And then Olivia was born. And we called and we were like, yeah, you need to come up. We just had Olivia. And so I think at that time it was just kind of shock, but they all made us feel like you're going to be okay. We're going to take care of her, and this is what we do. And they made us feel that way the entire time. Like,
pretty tough not to be able to hold your baby girl when she's born. How long was it?
It was 3 or 4 days. I can't remember exactly, but it was definitely days. And that was a long road. I won't ever forget. We have lots of pictures of the first time that I was able to hold her. And it was very overwhelming to see.
That's right, McKenna can tell us.
McKenna.
You can tell
Mom
us.
had to hold her like this.
Mommy held her in both her hands, and she was just teeny tiny, just barely filled up Mom's palms of her hands. Okay.
Yeah.
You've seen pictures, haven't you, honey?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So just to watch the nurses just with such love and care manage all of the tubes and get her from the isolette and to me was amazing to see. And they, of course, acted like this is what we do every day, so this is fine. It's going to be the best thing for her. And those were really special times to be able to hold her.
You're scared.
Yeah.
You don't know
Very.
what's next. Was there operations that happened? What happened next?
So it's pretty common for preemies to have a valve in their heart that doesn't close all the way. So they tried to get it to close with some medication, but eventually she needed a surgery. They were able to invite a surgeon from the UW, and he, instead of having to transport Olivia to the UW, he was able to do the surgery in the NICU here at Gunderson at the time, which was fantastic.
That was good news.
Yes, very good news.
You guys were probably due for some good news at that point.
Yeah, we were. I remember when that happened. So many of the nurses, they took such good care of her, but they also took care of us. You know, and at the time, you don't know what to ask for or what to do, and they just knew what to say and what to tell you. And you know, when she was going to have the surgery, one of our nurses, Nurse Cindy, was just like, "I got this. I'll be there the whole time. She'll be okay." And you know, so they sent us off to the cafeteria
with meal vouchers.
With meal vouchers,
Go eat.
and told us to go have something to eat. So
You know, where we're at in the story right now, believe it or not, while we've been talking, John just held up a sign. We have 13 calls that have already come in.
that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
784-KIDS, 784-5437. So meal vouchers is where we left off, because you guys aren't even thinking about a meal, thinking about eating, you know, and somebody probably reminded you that you guys have to take care of you guys, or you can't take care of anybody else. I'm
Yes.
thinking that's what happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was a huge part of everything, because, you know, any new mom is on 24 hours. You know, you're doing everything you can for your child, and you don't take care of yourself when the pregnancy goes normally, right? But this was even different because I couldn't hold her all the time. I couldn't nurse her, and I felt helpless. So the last person I wanted to take care of was me. But people from CMN hospitals were there, and the NICU staff was there to say, if you're not healthy, you can't help us. And we
So
need
they
you.
give you a $5 meal voucher to
Yeah.
go get something to eat. Somebody just called in a donation that will buy $105 vouchers.
That's awesome.
You just received
Wow.
a donation call
Wow.
of $500.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Well, you guys are an amazing family. Okay, so how old are we now? Are we still in the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
How long did Olivia stay in the hospital?
80 days. Yes.
80 days she was
80
in the
days.
hospital. Okay. Which means you were probably pretty darn close to the hospital.
Well, that was an interesting time because
How did that work?
we were lucky that we lived in La Crosse and lived very close to the hospital, because as a teacher at the time, I had, you know, leave built up, but we also knew that Olivia was not going to be able to go to any sort of daycare after she came home, and we don't have family in the area. And so we got together with our team that included NICU nurses, docs, social worker, anybody here, and they kind of said, you know what, I think if you could work until she is able to come home so that you can take the rest of the time off, then that would be a good option. And Ryan had just gotten a new job as an associate principal and activities director at Onalaska High School at that time. Like,
of course you
3
did.
days.
It was the right time. Yeah,
why
it
not?
fit right into the plan. You know? Yep.
So we both had to make some pretty tough decisions. So I would go to work most days, and then go right from work to the hospital and spend all afternoon and into the evening there. And then Ryan would get done with work and often had an activity, so he would come straight from his activity. We'd say hi, give each other a hug. We'd trade chairs. I would go home, sleep, get up for work the next day, maybe go to the hospital before work, and so on and so forth. So my Onalaska School District staff was super supportive too, and I know that they're listening because they know how much Children's Miracle Network hospitals helped us too.
When you look at your daily routine now and what it took this morning to hop in the car and come down here and what you guys were doing 10 years ago, night and day.
It is.
Olivia, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Okay. So she's had some surgeries.
Yes, she's had several eye surgeries, right? So that has been, once she came home from the NICU, she did come home, you know, on oxygen, on a feeding tube, on an apnea monitor, but she really just needed to get bigger and stronger. and we thought that things were going to be, really just everything was progressing really well. And then we went for an eye checkup, and they didn't find the ROP, the retinopathy of prematurity, until after actually she had come home. So then that started a whole new journey with her vision, and she had retinopathy of prematurity surgery, ROP, yeah. And then she developed cataracts in both eyes. So she had her cataracts removed, which was also removes the lens of her eye. So as an infant, she was fitted for contacts. So she's been wearing contact lenses since she was about 6 months old.
I can't imagine a little 6-month-old and you're putting contact lenses in her. How did that? I can't even think of how that would have gone.
Well, neither of us have ever had, contacts or anything like that. And so the doctors, and they just taught us. And it just started to be normal. Like everything that we did with her was really not normal, but it was what we knew. It was what we knew. And so we would just do those things and, watch her progress. But it was amazing to see her when we were able to put those contacts in, and how much more she could see and grow and develop with those things. So it's pretty amazing.
I'm amazed at some of the medical vocabulary that now seems to be a part of your daily life, because some of these things that you've been rattling off, and Olivia knows exactly what we're talking about too. I mean, isn't that something when that does become, like you said, a part of the normal everyday?
So another part of that journey was actually traveling down to the University Hospital in Madison to get a couple of surgeries down there for her, because she had a membrane that was growing over her eyes as well and blocking her vision after the cataracts were removed. So that thing was a real bugger, and, and they had to just keep cutting it out. And so CMN Hospitals was able to provide us with travel vouchers to help with that as well, and that was really, we were very grateful for that, because we were stretched very thin at that point and weren't sure how we were now going to accomplish this next step. And she also, at that time, we decided to stop having surgeries on her left eye, because her left eye just wasn't developing really at all normally, and they said that's probably where we should stop. And she was fitted for a prosthetic scleral shell over that eye, and that also gets made down in Madison at a company down there. And Olivia really knows that part of the story. Like, she remembers now and gets new shells every once in a while as she grows, and she gets fitted for them.
What's that like, Olivia? What kind of exam room do you go into?
So like when you go to see Miss Carrie, you sit in the chair. What does she do?
Does she look into your eyes with a bright light?
I don't really. It's been a long time.
Mom, why don't you jump in and help her a little bit?
Sure. So it's really fascinating. So they make a mold of her eye, and then they polish it. Yeah.
Okay, now it's coming back to you. Yeah.
Paint it, and it smells like a nail salon in there. That's what you said, Mom. This smells like this, and it's from the paints and different chemicals that she's using. So she actually visually just looks at Olivia's right eye and then hand paints the scleral shell to fit in her left eye. And that shell is really essential, because without it, then she would have developed a facial deformity, because the orbit of her left eye would not have grown and been the same structure as the orbit of her right eye. So that it is a true necessity, and it's really a blessing that we have that. So she could tell you her morning routine with like her contact and her.
Sure, let's hear what you do in the morning.
So in the morning, I always plug the drain in the sink.
You plug the drain first. Good move.
And why do you plug the drain, sweetheart?
Because if I drop it, then Dad has to go get it.
Then Dad takes.
We've opened the sink up a few times,
Okay.
and we've gotten it every time, haven't we?
We were very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
And then I take my solution with the red cap, and then wait, I don't do anything with that solution. Never mind.
That's at night, isn't it?
Yeah, that's at night. I take a white bottle of solution, and I set that down, open that up. I run the water with the drain plugged, and then I rinse my contact. And then when I'm done, I dry my hand so it's not soaking wet.
Do you put your own contact in?
You do that now?
Yeah.
You've been
On my finger, and then I just stick it in my eye. I put a drop of the white solution in, and I try not to drop it. If I do, I'm like, ah.
Because then you got to start all over again. You've learned a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
Good for you for taking care of all that. You know, we're at 15 calls right now, and we're going to shoot for 20.
Okay.
Should we do that? 784-KIDS, 784-5437. Gensler Group, you're getting a little quiet over there.
Yeah.
5 more calls.
It's nice to know. It's nice to know that they're outfitted with cowbells, and they certainly are sharing their enthusiasm at 784-KIDS, 784-5437. You guys have been through a lot in 10 years. Oh, we're at 16 already. Okay,
Hey,
closer,
that's
closer.
excellent.
Okay. What, Dad? You wanted McKenna to say something?
4 more calls.
4 more calls.
McKenna would like 4 more calls, please. We would all like 4 more calls. It's 784-KIDS, 784-5437. So you've gone over some meal vouchers that were given to you, gas cards that were given to you. Okay, so these things came at a really critical time. Okay, we're at home, we're on a Saturday, we're figuring out what we're going to do next and figuring out if you're going to call in for a pledge or not. What would you say? What would you say to somebody who's trying to make the decision?
I think that the thing that helped us the most is it just made us feel normal. You know, like we could have something to eat. I didn't grab my wallet. I had nothing. You know, I had the car keys, left the car door open
In the parking lot.
because you're just
See, there's
trying
a
to get her
dad for ya.
inside. You know, so remember to shut the car door. And you know, you go in there and you're there for a long time, and then finally somebody reminds you, "Are you hungry?" And you're like, "Yeah, I am really hungry." And to be able to go down and just get something to eat, and feel like everybody else that is able to have a baby that doesn't have as many complications was really important. It was really, really special.
Olivia, sometimes is that do you talk to your friends about what you have to go through with your vision? Is it something that you can talk to your friends about, or do you feel funny about it?
I don't feel funny about it, but usually we just don't mind it at all.
So it doesn't even bother you, just go
No.
through the day like,
Just go through the day like I'm a normal person.
well, you are. So are there a few things that you wish you could do and you really can't do? Is there anything at all?
I wish I didn't have a cane.
Okay.
Then people are asking and asking, why do you have this? Why do you have that?
Because
And
when
that
they
gets
see
annoying.
that gets annoying when they ask you about your cane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're 10 years old, and we get that. We understand that. Just for you being able to sit here on the couch today and tell us things that you go through and your daily routine, that's huge. You're doing a really good job at giving us a real picture of what happens. And that's not always an easy thing to do, especially if it's things that are pretty tough. You know, they're pretty tough on you. But you're a trooper, and you're a great little sister. I can see that right now. We just discovered that McKenna's sparkly top with the owl on it, the owl is wearing glasses.
Yes.
We just discovered that. Olivia just said, "Oh, McKenna, the owl on your shirt's wearing glasses." So, you know,
Yeah.
that's one of the accessories that we just kind of just didn't even see. It's 784-KIDS, 784-5437. You're listening to the Children's Miracle Network Hospital Radiothon with the Vogler family from Onalaska, and we went back 10 years forward in history. What's next?
Anything for her. Yeah, she truly doesn't see herself as limited, and we have tried to open up the world for her. And if she says, "I want to try it," we say, "Let's make it happen." And her specialists and her doctors and her teachers have helped us along the way with that. CMN Hospitals has been there every time. Does she need anything? Does she need any equipment? What could we do? As a little kiddo wanting to play outside because her retinas were dilated completely open surgically, it was really difficult for her to be out in the sun, so we got some specially tinted sunglasses for her as an infant, and that was something that CMN Hospitals helped us to get.
They did see. No, there's
Absolute-
something that we hadn't talked about.
Yep.
All the families.
Yeah.
You know what? We're up to 17 calls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Let's hear
Thank you very much.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Just as quickly as we said 17, we're at 18.
Excellent.
2 more calls, and we'll get them at 784-KIDS.
2 more calls.
784-5437. This is the 3rd year that the Gensler Group has been with us, and they're answering the phone banks, the Blood Center of Wisconsin phone banks, and they're a competitive group.
Okay.
And they want their hour to be as profitable and as bright and shiny as it can possibly be. So we're going to help them. We're going to continue talking, and we're going to get those 2 calls at 784-KIDS, 784-5437. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that we may have not touched on Olivia's story?
I think a big thing is that not only through Gunderson Health Systems Hospital here, but through Children's Miracle Network hospitals, they help support us in that Olivia can do anything she wants to. Sometimes as parents with a child with a disability, we can kind of want to hold back. And at one time, we were like, well, maybe she shouldn't ride a bike, and they gave us the courage to be like, you know what, she can do that. And just different events that we go to and seeing people and hearing stories where they have these events just like this and helping us understand, you know what, she can do that is really important. And I think that's allowed us to open different doors for her and some of the activities that she's doing right now, and she's really enjoying.
We're at 19. We're not?
We did it!
You guys are amazing, amazing family. I can hardly wait till next year to find out just what exciting things have happened to both of you over the last year. Will you come back and see us again?
Of course we will.
Well, thank you. Because you know what? When you
10
share...
more calls.
Oh, she wants more calls. There we go. See, she's in training. She's in training. Thank you for taking your Saturday morning to be with
we're
us.
happy to.
Thank you.
We
Thank you
appreciate
for
you guys.
doing this.
Yeah, please
Thanks,
come back
Gensler.
next year, okay? Yeah,
Absolutely.
they're doing a great job, aren't they? You're listening to the Children's Miracle Network Hospital's Radiothon, a service of the La Crosse Media Group.